out this one.
You stopped it. Started it again.
I hit the wrong button, guys, so this is going to be part 2. Sorry.
That structure that's fallen in there, that's the opening to the conductor line. Then there's a delay of it. Those are cylinders. Those are the opening to the moon anchor 1 and 2 gold line. Just above it, you can't see it quite from here, but there's another little line up there called the midget line. And then over here on the left side of the engine now, you'll see an old wooden chute that's coming out of the hillside here. Well, that's just left from the E-Porter King gold line. Now guys, all these gold lines right here were open in the 1890s, and collectively, you guys, they produced about $15 million worth of gold. Now, just keep in mind, all these numbers I'm going to give you today are back when gold was about 20 bucks an ounce, compared to today's value when it's almost $3,400 an ounce.
pollution this train makes, but they don't recycle in Colorado either, so. At least most of the area don't recycle.
There's an old mine up there.
Gassing up.
Well, looks like we didn't bring enough coal. You guys ready to help me push it all the way back? Actually, welcome to our first stop along our trip. Anybody especially on the left side, if we're at one of these 3 stops that we're going to make, feel free to stand up and look around, do what you need to do there. Well, these early miners, guys, when they got here to this area was known as Squaw Gulch. And what a view this morning. This is awesome. Because it used to have a small Ute tribe here in the region. However, it quickly got renamed to Echo Valley. So here, let me show you why. As soon as Cripple Creek Rush Hour passes right here, I'll show you why we call it Echo Valley. Not bad, right?
Yeah.
You guys ready to do that one more time? All right, here we go. I think I got 7 or 8 that time. All right, I'm doing that again, you know, because I like it. Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know what? I first got to hear this old whistle about 25 years ago when I rode this train as a passenger. And I don't know if you can tell, it never gets old. I dig it. You know, I can sit out here all day. Well, you know, you can actually hear this old whistle on a good clear morning like today. About 10 to 12 miles up and down this gulch here, believe it or not.
We're going backwards. So you can see where we went. Out of the wall. Rock just amazes me. Switching tracks. More there. Oh, we just stopped here and the tracks ended. Oh shit. Shoot. Sorry about the swearing, guys. I just automatically do that.
California, and the reason why the old San Francisco 49ers are named them, yeah, exactly. Well, guys, similar to their football team a couple years ago in the Super Bowl,
This
they're
is
in
a
second
working
place
gold
by
mine.
a long ways, believe it or not.
Mine.
We produce more gold right here in Old Teller County than all those other 49 states combined, including Alaska and California. In fact, a couple weeks ago, got the guesstimation from one of these old miners up here that we have produced about 22 million ounces of gold that have come out of the hills right here, and they don't even think we've struck the muzzle load yet. Whew, it's gonna be awesome to see. All right.
Cripple Creek.
All right, guys, coming up here on the right side of the train, you guys are going to see an old mining technique called a stope in this crevice that's up here in the side of the mountain. It kind of looks like a cave up here. Now guys, these early miners were incredibly efficient at finding these high-grade gold ore veins. So they would blast into the mountain, find those gold ore veins, and then they would drill up into that vein and blast it with dynamite. Then they would take that and throw it in their ore carts, and then the ore carts would bring it down to the train, and the train would take it down to the mill to process all that old gold.
I think I got it. Sorry if I didn't.
Yeah. Right up there.
Yeah. She is doing so good on her first train ride. Doesn't seem to be bothered by the train whistle either. If you like clean, fresh air, you might not want to take this train ride because it does have a smell to it. I mean, typical, it's a coal train. Prospector holes, the mounds.
Back in the day, those early miners were able to drop down and dig it. They were able to walk all the way over here to Cripple Creek and never come above ground, believe it or not. It's a good way to get to work on these days of the year 10,000 feet whenever we'll get about 4 or 5 foot snowstorm.
Pretty day today. Back to Cripple Creek. Good thing we came during Donkey Derby days because I don't think we'll be coming back, unfortunately. I did not like to drive here. So they do have, I think, 4 casinos in this little town.
And they bought them all up and then they dismantled them, took them back down to the springs and built a bunch of neighborhoods in Old Colorado City and Manatee Springs has these houses here. Now this is about Cripple.
So, getting ready to end the train ride trip. We're going to be probably doing another video today on the donkeys for sure. So there's the train depot right there. This was worth it. Do you think so? This was worth
All
the
right, guys,
wait.
welcome back to Cripple Creek. Now, this street that's closest to us right here, known as Myers Avenue. Now, it looks a little bare right now. Well, it has a lot of cars on it. Of course, you got Donkey Derby days today. However, during the early the 1890s and early 1900s, on Myers Avenue here, it's running parallel to the tracks, was known as one of the rowdiest red light districts in all the Old West, believe it or not. Then we had about 70 saloons on it and 12 casinos. And then one time, you guys, we had about 35 brothels and parlor houses on this old street here.
Wow.
Now, the most famous of those buildings is that white building right there with the red sign on it, called the Old Homestead right there. Hey, settle down, fellas. That's just a museum now, okay? That's no longer operational, but that used to be run by Madame Pearl de Beer. Now, Madame Pearl de Beer, you guys, was so particular about the patrons she allowed in there. I mean, she would do a background check on you. You had to be one of the mine owners or one of the businessmen in the area to be able to go in there. And to be honest with you, $2.50 a day, I doubt any of those miners could afford the $250 nightly sessions they had in there anyway. Well, guys, at the age of about 30 or 31, old Madame Pearl de Beer here, in 1897, had an accidental laudanum overdose. Now, guys, laudanum was basically morphine. Now, most people say she was trying to self-medicate for the common cold, or she was using it as a sleep agent. And wouldn't you know it, whenever her family got into town from her home state of Indiana for her funeral, they found out that she wasn't the seamstress she told everybody back home that she was, you know? And unfortunately, they disowned her and refused to pay for her funeral. However, you guys, she had an $800 French dress in her possession. They were going to sell that to pay for her funeral, but she had a gentleman call her here in the region. Legend has it he might have been an old ex-husband. We're not 100% on that. But he came into town and goes, oh, no. We're going to go ahead and bury her in that beautiful dress. And he raised about $1,000 in order to pay for that funeral. The old Elvis Club here in town, you guys, put together a marching band. And 5,000 people showed up to pay their respects to Madame Pearl de Beer. And as they led that funeral procession all the way up there to the Pisgah Cemetery, they were playing It's Gonna Be a Hot Time in the Old Town Tonight, all the way up there, just for old Madame Pearl de Beer, you know? Still to this day. Are you guys okay if I tell one last story? Alright, so right over this little berm is all that's left of the original Cripple Creek. You can kind of see that old creek bed that heads all the way up Poverty Gulch right there. So guys, this used to be a really steady flowing creek that started way up on top of the mountain there. Ran all the way through town, went out, all the way out through Echo Valley actually. Now, they got dammed up a long time ago to build a reservoir way above the mine there. Now in the 1860s, there's a local rancher out here named Levi. Levi sold his ranch to Bob Womack. Now during the spring runoff, old Levi was leading some cows across this old creek